This is the Truth Frequency Radio Network. We are TFR. Truth Frequency Radio.
Alrighty, guys and gals, it is 02 in the evening right here on KBeach Radio, kbeach.org, and KBeach FM 88.1 FM, KKJZ-HD3 Long Beach, Los Angeles, and the Truth Frequency Radio Network. Good to see you all. This is Donny Gillson on his second show of 32 Degrees of Insanity. And do we have a show for you tonight? It is our 9/11 Truth. If my guest can please put his mic on mute, that would be perfect. We can hear you in the background. We are going to be having an incredible guest on this evening. His name is Alfred Lambremont Webre. He is one of the key investigators into 9/11. But before we get started tonight, I do want to give out a little personal thank you to the KBeach family here for allowing us to have a platform here on KBeach Radio, right here at the California State University at Long Beach, because this is absolutely a wonderful place for us to have this show, because this is something that we're going to look outside the norm. We're going to look outside the box on some things here, and some of the subject matter will get pretty intense. And this is going to happen in all the shows. For example, today, guys, we had the Student Union put on a wonderful 9/11 memorial this morning in respect to all the armed service personnel that have lost their lives in this terrible war between Afghanistan and Iraq. And we had we had the Army down there, the color guard, and the whole 9 yards. And it was absolutely very, very beautiful. And it was a great thing to remember this tragedy that happened 13 years. I can't even believe it's 13 years ago that this thing happened. I mean, I feel like I can remember when I woke up that day. I was actually living in Oregon at the time. And I was on, if you guys remember, AOL, American Online. I got on to check my mail that morning. You got mail. And I saw this GIF. And back then, video was not a very big thing that you could have. So I saw this GIF of a plane going into the World Trade Center. And the first thing I said is like, wow, that looks like a really, really good movie. But then I turned around and went, what is it? It said, plane goes into the World Trade Center. And I'm like, what? And so I got out and I turned on my big screen TV. And I remember I was getting ready for the premiere of 24 with Jack Bauer. That was coming on. And if you guys remember that was the premiere. They had to delay the premiere because of the terrorist attacks in 9/11. And I'm watching this and the coverage. And me being a veteran, I'm a veteran in the United States Navy. I was ready to get in my car and drive all the way to New York to help these firefighters, these police, everybody, because I just had this, I was so angry. How can terrorists attack my nation? How can that happen? I was so very, very angry. And then something told me within myself to just kind of chill, let people take care of it. I mean, I grew up in a law enforcement family. My father was a Ramsey County sheriff back in Minnesota. My grandfather was a captain of St. Paul Police Department when there was only a captain and a chief. My grandmother, Frances Gillson, she was the first female deputy in the state of Minnesota. She was deputized in 1971. I never went down that line of law enforcement, but I do understand the protect and serve. I understand how law enforcement works, and I love the men in law enforcement, the men and women that do their daily deeds in law enforcement. I do. But there is some problems with law enforcement, as we saw just recently with the Ferguson incident, and of course the Bundy incident that happened in Nevada back in the early part of the summer. A lot of contrast there. And we've seen how first responders have gotten there in regards to the 9/11 tragedy, and a lot of people, a lot of first responders, including firemen, have lost their lives due to lung disease and things because they went into this asbestos-controlled environment, and now they're suffering. So a lot of people have lost their lives because of 9/11, and I want to take a moment right now for all of us to remember the lives that have been lost not only in this country, but the lives that have been lost all over the world in regards to, was it a terrorist act? We don't know. A lot of us have said, investigate 9/11. Investigate it. Look at it. Some of the things are not matching up. I said recently to somebody, I said, you know what I don't get? I don't get this. We have a Malaysian flight that gets shot down above the Ukraine. This Malaysian flight falls out of the sky. It's supposed to get shot down by some missile, but yet there's body parts and there's plane wreckage everywhere. But then there's a plane that flies over the state of Pennsylvania in 9/11 of 2001. And then we see a plane that supposedly dives into a spin into the ground in Pennsylvania, but yet nothing, not even a little speck of metal is shown anywhere in this hole. And some people have raised the argument, well, it must have hit the velocity. It must have gone really all the way down into the earth and it just disappeared. Oh, okay. Well, how could a bunch of guys with a bunch of box cutters do that? Well, these are the things that we're going to investigate tonight. These are the things we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the possibility of maybe this was a holographic image. Maybe these weren't planes at all that went into the Trade Center, that they were actually holographic images. Was it we were seeing different realities? Were we seeing different multidimensional things? Were we seeing a false flag produced on our own minds? These are the things that we talk about on 32 Degrees of Insanity. I don't want anybody to ever think that we are trying to make a mockery of the governments. We're not making a mockery of the people that died in regards to this. Today, and this is, I just want to touch on this briefly. Today, I wanted to go out and I wanted to send out press releases to everybody out there today. And yesterday, the Daily 49er here at Cal State University wrote a small little blurb in regards to KBeach remembering 9/11. And for my Truth Frequency listeners out there, I am broadcasting live from the KBeach studios here in beautiful Southern California. And it is a joy to be here. And I wanted to get the information out about this great guest that I have worked with for the past 5 years. Well, actually longer than that, because the first time I ever met this man, or the first time I ever saw this man, he was on top of this mountain. It's called Mount Adams in Washington State, right outside of Seattle. And I saw this man, he was talking about this thing called a positive timeline. And then I noticed that he was friends with a young lady named Laura Eisenhower. And of course, the last name will probably ring bells to all of you because her great-grandfather was the President of the United States, Dwight D. Eisenhower. And she has talked about this positive timeline before, and how our consciousness is lifted, and how we're heading down this great way, that we're heading towards positiveness, and that the evildoers are losing. And when I saw this man on top of Mount Adams, and he said that this I think was 2007, he said that we are winning. We are going down this positive timeline, and don't let anybody else tell you any different. This man, Alfred Webre, that I'm going to have on in a few moments here, has turned into a great friend of mine, a brother. We have done many shows. Just recently, on August 2nd, we did a show in regards to the Ebola virus and the false flag of the Ebola virus. We had over 50,000 people on YouTube watch this video itself. And I do want to make a caveat for everybody that was out there listening to that show. I said that Dr. Greer passed away. I did not mean that. No, I meant Dr. Lear did pass away. And Dr. Lear is the podiatrist who investigated alien implants. Dr. Greer was the one that's in charge of the Disclosure Project that was in front of Congress last year. Now, also this gentleman tonight that I'm going to be bringing on was also a judge on a tribunal out in Malaysia that prosecuted George Walker Bush Jr., the previous president of the United States, Dick Cheney, our U.S. vice president, Tony Blair, and several other associates in regards to, including Defense Secretary Donald Rumsfeld. This tribunal found these gentlemen guilty of war crimes against humanity. And it stems out of the topic that we're going to speak about tonight. The topic that we are going to speak about tonight is the 9/11 truth. Now, you can take it with what it is, and this is the way that I say, if you want to listen to us, you can. If you don't, you can turn it off right now. But what we were going to share with you tonight is some very important information, and I want you to just take it with a grain of salt, and I want you just to listen. To listen to what Alfred has to say, listen to what we have to say in regards to our own investigation into this tragedy. Because we've been doing this a long time in the alternative media. Now this morning, when I was giving out flyers, the California State University got wind that here was Donny Gillson, this guy that they really didn't know. Was he a student of California State University? Yes, he is. Was he going to cause a problem? Was he going to, take out the bullhorn and be like Alex Jones and say, it's an inside job and create chaos on our campus? No, I didn't do that. I didn't think it was right to do any of that. All I wanted to do is have people listen to what we are going to talk about it tonight. And that's it. That's it. But yet, everybody got involved. From what I heard, pretty much everybody out there in the California State University system might be listening tonight. So I want to thank you all if you are listening tonight. I really, really want to thank you all for listening. And because I wanted to say thank you. This is a wonderful, wonderful opportunity for me. It'll allow us to bring this information that has really not really entered the university academic arena. And we're talking, Alfred Webre is himself a professor as well. And we'll talk a little bit more about his background as well. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I really want to thank you all for listening. We're going to stick around here. We're here every Thursday night. We start at 9 o'clock, and we're going to be on till 11, as the disclaimer said. It's not the views of KBeach Radio, what I'm saying. But, they are giving me the platform to talk the way I want. And Truth Frequency Radio, which is truthfrequencyradio.com, we had Chris Gio and Cherie Gio on the show last week. I'm actually going to be on their show this coming Sunday. And we're going to be talking a little bit more candidly in regards to things. So you can turn into that at www.truthfrequencyradio.com, or you can always follow us. You can just come to the KBeach website, scroll down, and learn about 32 Degrees of Insanity under talk shows under the toolbar. And you can learn a little bit about me. I'm a 32nd degree Freemason. I'm a Knights Templar. I'm a good guy, nice guy. I'm senior here at California State Long Beach in the School of Psychology. My main goal here is to go to graduate school, and who knows where this brings me. I wasn't thinking about this 6 months ago. I was thinking about school. I took a hiatus for almost 6 months. But now here I am on KBeach,